let's get this party started, everybody. I am Becky, as Alan mentioned, and I am joined here with Ashcon, and we're going to be taking you through this evening. But before we get to there, we are going to be welcoming the ROTC and Bryce Dix and Ruby Martinez to do the national anthem. If you would all please rise.
Those prizes that Alan thankfully outlined for us earlier. I'm really looking at that $1,000 in computer parts, though. That is something juicy.
Oh, yeah, that's big money coming in there for one of these schools. Players, please take your seats. And, while our players are getting ready, getting set up, and figuring out all of their battle stations, should we explain the game a little bit for the lovely people in the audience?
I think that sounds like a swell idea, Becky. We're actually playing a little bit of an offshoot of traditional Smash Brothers, known as Doubles.
Oh, all right. That does mean that we are going to be watching a 2v2 match. That is going to add a little bit of a dynamic difference compared to some other Smash that you might be used to seeing. That is typically a 1v1v1v1.
Absolutely. And so with players being on the same team, there is a unique mechanic. You may know them as lives, but traditionally known as stocks. Players can actually save each other if one of them gets knocked out. Each player is going to have 3 total stocks, and once a team loses that entirety of their stock pool, as in they perish 6 total times, that map will go in favor of the team left standing.
And you'll be able to see that through their characters being on the screen as well. And of course, if you ever get confused, you can check the names that are going to be presented in the top of the screen. And Ashkan and I will do our best to help you out here as well. Any characters that you're interested in seeing on the battlefield today?
Well, I do want to point out we will not have any of the DLC characters, and if you're not familiar with the term, it just means downloadable content, aka character extras. So we're going to stick with the main cast. I am looking forward to Ganondorf. As a Ganondorf player myself, I love the Legend of Zelda franchise, and that's my main, so would love to see that happening.
I personally am a big Pikachu fan, and I'm also, in my mentioning of that, fans of characters that are not considered to be the best, but I'm sure we'll still be able to see some fun kind of niche picks for our players on the field today, as well as maybe some characters that you know from other franchises. That's kind of the beauty of Super Smash Bros. Is you're getting to see so many characters kind of come together and brawl it out.
Yeah, we got the Legend of Zelda, like I mentioned earlier, Pokemon, as it represented by Pikachu, Mewtwo, and the like, Kirby, and even Star Fox,
Even Star Fox, very true.
No matter what generation you come from, young or old, there's probably a character that you recognize in this game.
Yeah, a little bit of something for everybody, and that's kind of the beauty of it. Our players are seated and getting ready to go down onto the battlefield for our first match of the evening. And since this is going to be the same school playing for their spot in the finals, we got to figure out how we're sectioning this off. If you're a fan of the Dunkin' Donuts team, let me hear you say, yeah! Okay, and now up against them, we've got Sudden Death. Fans of Sudden Death, let me hear it. All right, that's what you guys have to impress out there. The people are here to see you and your competition. I'm looking at some of the characters that have been locked in, and you mentioned Kirby, and we might be seeing a Kirby to start things off.
Oh, I think I spy with my little eye that you are correct. Something I want to point out, too, is that this semifinal stage is going to be a best of 3, right? So we were talking about how a team wins a map when they get rid of the rest of the other team's stocks, right?
Yes.
But they got to do that 2 times to move on to the grand final stage. And once we get there, they have to do it at least a minimum of 3.
Absolutely, yeah. We are starting off with these 2 best of 3s between each of these high schools, and then the winners of those best of 3 will represent their schools in the best of 5 finals that we will be going into after these conclude. Very excited to see how this is going to end up shaking out. I mean, I think we're going to learn a lot about play styles coming in here. I mean, you have to imagine that these players are kind of practicing with each other. They're coming from the same school, presumably the same club, and they've been playing across 6 weeks, Alan mentioned, to get to this point. And so I like to believe that nobody knows these players better than the people that they're playing against in their duo.
Absolutely. I mean, at least on the Adams side, I know that they had so many players, they had to create 2 separate pools.
Wow.
Well,
amazing.
For now, though, context aside, let's jump right into the action. And it looks like on the red side, we're going to have King K. Rool and Cloud versus Kirby and Ridley.
I mean, you were pretty excited to see Cloud. You were actually excited to see Sephiroth from the Final Fantasy series, but how does Cloud feel?
I mean, the main antagonist to my antagonist, but, definitely a great character nonetheless. I really want to talk about these super heavies. So Ridley, the dragon-looking character, and King K. Rool, that crocodile-looking character. it takes a lot more power to send them farther than lighter characters such as Kirby. So that's something that we're going to want to talk about over time is the weight of a character.
Absolutely. And as you're mentioning that, you're also getting to see Kirby do a little move, puff up those cheeks, and get a little bit further into the air. Characters with a lot of air time is also a huge dynamic of this game. But speaking of those smashes, those heavy characters, Ridley is going to be the first to lose a stock in this match. King K. Rool trying to come back into this. Nicely able to work that edge, though. Kirby tries to do a little bit of an edge protection there, but is not able to keep that crocodile off the map.
As I may want to point out, at the bottom of the screen are these percentages, and if you're not familiar, the higher the number goes, the farther you fly when you get hit. However, the farther that number goes, the stronger you get. And so you'll notice that black smoke puffing out of King K. Rool's icon in the bottom left there. That means they're going to be doing extra damage with each hit that they give an enemy.
Oh, and certainly trying to do a lot of that damage. Ridley goes down a second time. That is one stock left with the two on Kirby's side. So it's looking a little bit rough for this blue team here, but holding it down as much as possible. And so far, it looks like we see the sudden death team on top here with a single stock above the opposite team.
This is a tough position to be in. If you're Kirby, you're at 130%. Ridley could stock share here. I mean, and that's probably something that they may want to think about, right? Because Kirby's one of those lighter characters. When we're talking about weight, it takes a lot less to send Kirby flying, just like that. But when they recover and they come back, of course, that percentage resets. They may have a little bit more room to work with.
Absolutely true. But now with this Kirby down to one stock, it is a Kirby versus the world situation. And this is a hard place to be in, of course. You're in a 1v2. Each of the opposing players has 2 stocks remaining. But you're going to try and make it work as best you can. But you are kind of being juggled by 2 opposing characters. And you're literally getting to see that this orb-like Kirby is just being bounced up and down, trying to do as much damage as possible as that percentage gets higher. But it is not going to be able to come to fruition, and it looks like we see a sudden death as the team to take this first round.
And you were talking about that dynamic a little bit earlier, but we're going to take a direct shot into stage number 2.
Absolutely.
All right. No wait time here, folks. We're going to get right back into the action, and this is looking absolutely tiny.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say that about the map before this, but go off.
This gets even smaller, and so something about the stage size is, of course, there's a lot less room to work with without getting hit by someone else, but also that means the blast zone is much farther away. So every once in a while, you will zoom out, you'll see 2 rectangles in the top left. That outer rectangle shows what will lead to an instant elimination.
Beautiful mention that you do get to see come up in that corner quite often as we get percentages high. Cloud was the first to lose stock in this round, but considering that is the team of sudden death to have a round already under their belt, not enough to shake these players starting off here. High percentages damage coming in strong here across the board, but we're just not being able to fall off of that stage quite yet. Smashing back down in, and Ridley goes down. We're even between these 2 teams now on this very small board.
Trying to inch their way further to victory. What really is important here is min-maxing the amount of value you can get out of each stock. Berlin is demonstrating exactly that. At 150%, they still haven't fallen a single time.
Oh, as you say that, immediate. I mean, we said it. Once you have that high percentage, you're dealing damage, but you're knocked off that much easier. Comes back, and it looks like Ridley and Cloud both down to their final stock. So an even match here between these players so far.
Cloud's really trying to put in the legwork, juggling the characters. A hard part about playing a heavy character is you can easily be juggled, sent into the air, and basically kept in a chain of damage until you perish.
Oh, that's an unfortunate double knockout that came in there. The Ridley and Kirby going out means that there's not even a chance for there to be a little bit of a 2v2 situation. Once again, Kirby comes back, final stock remaining, and once again stuck in this 1v2 situation and just trying to make things happen. But with this big crocodile holding that edge, you're really just trying to make as much happen as possible. What's up? You threw the hands up.
I was so scared for Kirby in that situation, recovering up back onto the stage and almost whiffed it. You're really trying to aim into the direction of the ledge because you will automatically grab onto it, but sometimes when you're facing the wrong way, things can get awfully scary.
Absolutely. Trying to do as much of that damage as possible, getting back onto those edges, getting some of those down smashes, but unfortunately, those percentages going higher and higher. 2 stocks left for this Crocodile, and 1 for Cloud means that Kirby is the ball that gets home runned out of the stadium.
Oh, what a good ball game, a good old-fashioned. Berlin from Sudden Death taking the lead there, really anchoring the squad, I feel like, on the King K rule, leading in stocks consistently across both of those maps. A great showing by Dunkin' Donuts, but I think when it came down to getting in the nitty-gritty, Cloud was so effective getting up close and personal.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that you're trying to do on that Kirby a lot is evasion. We did get to see that, but ultimately a little bit too difficult for the side of Dunkin' Donuts, and Sudden Death will be representing Paris in the finals match.
Yes, indeed. And so that's going to eventually lead us now into the match for Adams Eagles and who will be their representative. We'll be looking towards Critical Bacon and the averages. Now, both of these teams had an amazing record in their regular season.
Yes.
I think they went almost undefeated the entire time.
I think all of the teams that are going to be sitting up here went undefeated completely.
Yeah, the standings looked absolutely insane. So we're talking about the creme de la creme when it comes to representatives of these middle schools. And when they go head-to-head in the grand finals, that's really what I'm excited about. But bringing it back to Adams Eagles, we have 2 7th graders represented by Critical Bacon, whereas averages are just in the 6th grade. So we'll see whether age and experience will triumph over the youth.
We absolutely will see. And I think that something that's important to mention is we keep talking about, schools, and we keep talking about weeks. But to put that into perspective, they've had to play against 90 other students. So giving you an actual number so you understand just how many players they have had to play against to sit here in front of you on this stage. But let's get some hype going. Let's check out some replays so that you can see some great moves that you've seen from these players. And I love seeing these cheerleaders come in, start cheering for their teams as our players are getting themselves situated. I mean, this is kind of an interesting thing that we talked about in our preparation for today, AshCon, is we were thinking that it was going to be very much, it's a 2v2 doubles match, but you get to see kind of like the players break off and make themselves into individual 1v1s a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But in this first match that we saw, it was pretty staunchly 2v2 the entire time.
Yeah, it was a lot of almost like a bar fight in a way. There's so much chaos going back and forth, and I do have an appreciation for that. You know, oftentimes people can stick to what they're comfortable towards, and when we talk about competitive Smash Bros, the 1v1s is really the bread and butter of that, of competitive. So to kind of stick side by side with your teammate and stay in that coordinated patterning, I suppose, I respect it much, much more.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that is kind of leading into that as well is kind of the maps that we ended up on. We ended up on 2 very small maps with no verticality to them at all. And I think that that makes it much harder to break off into 1v1s. And so I'm going to be really interested to see how that's going to end up playing out when Paris plays against Adams in the finals, because we've gotten to see no verticality from either of the Paris teams.
Yeah, that is definitely a good point to bring up, is that map pools matter much more than people would like to give them credit for, especially in like a party game like this, right? You're just thinking about, oh, well, you know, I'm just trying to hit the other person, get them to fall off the stage, and that's that.
Some people would be very mad that you just are referring to this as a party game. This is a very serious game.
This is a very, very serious game. You're absolutely right.
And we're like, it sounds like we're joking, but the amount of people who rally behind this game in a competitive scene is absolutely there.
Yeah, so much so that, fun fact, one of the older entries into this franchise, Smash Bros. Melee, is sometimes considered more popular than the current version of Smash.
I would say so.
Yeah.
On like a competitive level.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But to the point of maps, you know, when it comes to the characters, right, the verticality that you were talking about plays into their movesets. So when we talk about picking your comfort character. If you are not in a stage that really puts them in their best position, you will struggle a little bit.
Absolutely true. And so I'm hoping that this time from the Adams Eagles, we get to see something in the verticality sphere that we didn't get to see previously. We'll see. Maybe that won't be the case. And maybe that will mean that we're seeing an extremely even match once we go into the finals.
Oh, that is true. I mean, hey, an extremely even match is an extremely competitive match. An extremely competitive match is an extremely fun match to cast.
Because you have to understand, like, our players are all seated here. They get to watch the match that they're going to end up, and the players that they're going to end up playing against. The strategy starts now.
I mean, yeah, that is absolutely true. You got to do your homework. You can't just be on your phone. And I think that's absolutely a good point that you bring up once again, because when you're at LAN finals, you want to make sure you're the one that takes the trophy home. But
Absolutely.
before we see who brings the trophy home, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a quick break before we get into the next match.
Okay. Hello and welcome back, everybody. We are getting so ready to get into a match number 2, the Adams Eagles, Critical Bacon versus Averages, to figure out who is going to represent their school in the finals against Paris's Sudden Death. Our players have set themselves up and are ready to get down into this match. Anything you're excited to see, Ashcon?
I'm excited to see who gets into these grand finals. That's what I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see some stocks moving quick. Let's dive into the action.
Let's see it up on your screen. I hope you all are ready. And you know what? Let's get a little bit of hype in here. Adams Eagles fans, if you're on Critical Bacon's side, let me hear you say yeah. And if you're a fan of Averages, let me hear it. All right, our players better be feeling that energy and that hype. I'm seeing some thumbs up from the players. And let's see who is going to be representing those Adams Eagles.
Yeah, in a best of 3 once again, moving forward into a best of 5. So after these players, triumph over, they need to go into an even longer match. So we hope they have enough energy for the entirety of it. We're moving right in to that first map.
Absolutely, and we are not on a map with physicality once again. Our map pool is limited, but I believe there are some that can show up in that second wave that will have it. Ooh, 2 players quick off the map to start things off. And you said you wanted to see stocks moving fast, and so far we are losing some from Nico there.
Yeah, I really want to point out this the Ike near right now, with both Nico and Jason playing the same character, serving the same function. So what really matters now is the difference between Shoei's Ness and Martin's Cloud.
Absolutely, and it looks like Critical Bacon a little bit on the back foot here, as they've been the first to lose stocks compared to Averages, who are coming in strong. And I mean, we were talking before coming onto this stage, and we were like, you know who is just like so difficult to play against? Ness. And this Ness from Shoei is doing really well, and the cause of 2 of the knockouts so far.
Absolutely. I mean, the smash attacks, the special attacks, everything about Ness's kit is built to stall, build up damage, and then finish you in one big move.
Absolutely. Nico down to 1 stock remaining. Critical Bacon low on that life force here. While Jason and Shoei coming in strong, high on percentage from Jason, but all 3 stocks still in that pocket.
I mean, 133% damage on Ike. They fully built up that rage meter. That means they're doing extra damage, like I explained earlier. That's a very scary prospect, but not for long, as they get launched into space and they respawn back with 0.
Back on the field, but forced now to hold the hand of this Ness player, as we did do a little bit of stock sharing there, and Martin and Nico are back to fight 2v2 alongside one another.
The Averages with the lead right now, represented by Red, Shoei, and Jason. But Shoei, again, building up damage over time and eventually just finish off with a coordinated attack by Nico and Martin.
Yeah, that was maybe a little bit too aggressive too early, but when you're up on stocks, you can kind of make decisions like that. And with Jason, the only player remaining with 2 here, that's potentially going to be something that changes the course of this game. Pretty far out, but Jason with a great recovery coming back there.
Oh, I like the side Bs out of Nico to try and remain on stage and recover, while also maybe weaving in some damage. But unfortunately, in the meantime, they're going to lose their teammate, and the Ness up B, the up special, is going to drive them to meet them in the depths.
Absolutely, but a close match. That stock share at the end there doing a great job of bringing it back into a 2v2, and those final 2 eliminations came very close to one another. So it is still anyone's game as we go on to this next match.
Just building up damage over time. This is another Omega-style stage, as we're looking for the term. And so that's what we're really looking into, is the potential for a Battlefield-style stage with the 3 platforms, another signature default mode set in the game settings.
A quick knockout came there towards Nico. as we do. You kind of were mentioning play styles for characters, and we're actually seeing a pretty similar play style between Nico and Martin's picks. And there's a little bit of variety happening between Shohei and Jason that's allowing for a little bit of a difference in these 1v1s. We are seeing more of that here. It's a 2v2, but the players are finding themselves fighting one-on-one instead of really fighting together that we were seeing when we watched the Paris game.
Absolutely, yeah. Nico is very much focused over on Shohei, trying to take that heavy sword from their Ike to use against a lighter character like Ness. Unfortunately, they're going to fall early. We're going to see the Cloud finish that special, launch out. There was a stock share to bring themselves back to life. Martin and Nico on their last foot, and this is an extremely difficult position to be in. Jason finally having lost their first stock of the map.
Yeah, 2 on both of the players of averages. Only 1 remaining for Critical Bacon, but as we say that, Shohei gets taken down. 1 stock remaining for each of our players except for Jason, and pretty even across these percentages. So averages certainly looking to be in a strong spot here. But Martin fighting as that percentage gets high to try and stay into it, and doing a great job of equalizing to 1 stock. Anyone.
Yeah, reversing it back that quickly has to be hard on the mental right now.
A player that we talked about being so strong and holding it down loses 2 stocks within 30 seconds, and Jason is off of the battlefield. It is just to Shohei, and more than 100% for all of these players here.
It's that point of the game where 1 heavy hit can finish off a stock. But when you're going against 2 players as Ness, it might be a difficult task. A great throw off the stage. Martin has to recover fast.
Wow, and down to a 1v1. Admirable Shohei of being able to make that work in the 1v2, especially when Shohei was being knocked off the match and was trying to fight against 2 different players edge guarding.
Oh man, this is a tough situation. Martin just needs to close it out. They can win this series and secure their spot in the grand finals, but Shohei grasping at straws right now. Finishes the job!
Wow, a great match to end that one. So close between these 2 teams, but the younger side of averages is going to be representing the Adams Eagles in the finals.
That is an absolutely insane way to come back. It was looking intense. We almost went the entire series if Martin held down the fort. But that verticality, you know, maybe you don't need the extra platforms from the map. If you can just get a nice throw or juggle them up. I mean, the up special at the very end to secure the elimination was insane. Let's run this map back.
Yeah, watching some of these back. This first map, I think, was a lot of kind of players trying to feel out how they were each playing. And I think it's really kind of cool that we did get to see the duality of how all these players were approaching these 2v2 situations, whether they're picking 2 characters with the same playstyle or trying to kind of change it up. And we did get to see a lot of what you mentioned in that from Paris at first. So this kind of completely different style of similar characters and just trying to take those 1v1s. I think that's going to make it extremely interesting when Adams goes up against Paris in the finals. We're going to really see those clash of styles.
And I can't wait to get to that point. But before we do, I'm going to pass it back to the wonderful Alan Zach.
All right, you're back here with Ashcon and and we're getting ready to set things up for the grand finals between Adams and Paris. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I mean, I think averages have leveled up, right? They were going against the 7th graders, and now they're going against the 8th graders of sudden death.
Ooh, that could potentially be a little bit spooky, but we got to see some great moves from them, so I'm sure it will be a treat to watch. And to make it even more of a treat, we are now into the best of 5 realm. So it's going to be the first 2-3 wins who's going to be the one putting their names on that trophy.
And I'm so excited to see who get to put their names in history. And I also want to weave in a quick reminder that the action doesn't end here. We also have series played by high schoolers coming later on after the championship. But let's get right into this championship game for now between Sudden Death, representing the Paris Panthers, and Averages, representing the Adams Eagles.
Oh, all right. It looks like we're seeing a very same team composition from each of the teams, how they fought in their respective first matches. And for those of you who are maybe not old school gamers, I feel like that's, I don't want to date myself, but a little bit of a Sonic moment here as well.
Yeah, the original Sonic the Hedgehog Green Hill Zone. Yeah, I mean,
Ooh.
I think everyone can appreciate and what has happened over to the far side.
What a great play from Berlin. Talk about edge guarding.
Yeah, absolutely. King K. Rool has a lot of projectiles when they throw their crown. They shoot out the cannonball. So despite being a heavier character, they have a lot of potential to hit heavy even from afar, but up close and personal, they land an elimination.
Wow, and comes back onto the map. A great save there. Getting a little bit easy to knock pretty far there, but making their way back onto the field each time as well. Jason and Shoei lower on stocks, but the high percentages of Berlin and Alec are making it a little bit difficult for them to hold on here.
I see Jason kind of spamming that up B, that up special, slamming the sword up and down, just trying to create some space and maybe isolating their one. You were talking earlier about that approach, and I think it's working right now in the favor of Berlin and Alec.
Wow, some back and forth, making things a little bit difficult. But yeah, you mentioned going for those 1v1s here, and we're certainly seeing that now when we were kind of starting off in a little bit of a free-for-all and a little bit of somebody get the other player to the edge and then have the other player just really make sure that they can't go back on. And now one stock for every single player. I feel like we went from 2 to 1 very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, everything evening out. Adams Middle School, they are a little bit higher in percentage, bringing them closer to danger. That being said, Alec just takes a hit momentarily. But they've been doing a good job of playing it safe, operating that cloud. It's Berlin who's been operating sort of as a damaged tank.
And down for Jason. No stock to give over, but this is a best of 5, so we will be seeing that player back for at least 2 more games after this. And the back and forth, the smash to finish it off. And it is going to be Sudden Death claiming that first point in this best of 5.
And you saw a little bit of interesting King K. Rool tech at the end there, where when he shoots his cannonball, sometimes he can suck it back up, but if there's an actual character in front of it while he's vacuuming it in, they get grabbed up by the cannon.
I mean, it's kind of cool to see the... duality feels wrong because it implies that there's only 2, but the range of this character and how Berlin is able to use them. And then also just like how Alec is coming in for the support every single time as well.
Yeah, Alec is doing a great job, especially sending out the energy slashes to create space for King K. Rool. So Berlin gets to move very, very comfortably.
Whoa, big pops off the map, and Sudden Death got that first round, but are the first to lose both of their third stocks. So Averages showing up strong in this match, maybe learned a thing or 2 from that first map, and now are taking advantage of what they were able to learn.
Yeah, the advantage of Ness here is that they should be a very strong counter to King K. Rool, so it's a matter of connecting those 2 together if you're Adams.
Absolutely, and just like that, Berlin, that player that we were praising, the first two, only one stock, and Alec quick to follow. Shohei coming in very strong, still all three stocks, and kind of trying to work in as much of that damage as possible here, going for those blocks when able, and just trying to keep as many players kind of up in the air and unpredictable as possible.
Oh, and now we see Shohei trying to use that projectile shield to block, but unfortunately it's not going to be able to handle King K. Rool's cannon.
Really starting to get this juggle back in place now that Shohei has come back. Jason high on percentage and far off the map, down to 1 for all players except for that Ness, who is just trying to wreak havoc, and that crocodile reaches its final life, not like dogs here or cats, and still down to just this Cloud and Alec here. 104 percentage. Rough place to be in a 1v2.
Yeah, absolutely, but they are close to that limit break. If they can find a moment to breathe, they could potentially charge it up. That's not going to happen. It's a grab, a throw, and the end.
A little bit of a jinx from us there.
I think I've caster's cursed it twice now, actually.
It certainly feels that way. Our best of 5 is off to a strong start with a point for each of these teams. If we saw the averages learn from Sudden Death's playstyle in the first one to take game 2, is it now Sudden Death's turn to take a page out of Average's book?
Now, what I'm curious to see is, what these characters, you put it best, I guess, learning over time and learning throughout the maps. These players won't have the opportunity to swap off their characters in the middle of the series, right? They're just going to keep going and going and going until one of them gets to 3 map wins.
I was going to say, and it feels like they've finally started to figure out how to kind of abuse that added weight of King K. Rool. And that's just like a rough place to be. As you mentioned, can't switch off characters. So if your strategy of what you locked in starts to not go your way, what are you going to do? You're down to 1 stock left. You only have so many options, and maybe that's a little bit of a communication time with you and your teammate, but that's extremely hard to do in these 2v2s here.
Especially, because they're not getting any pause time between the maps where you traditionally would. So even if they were locked into their characters traditionally, they would still at least have some transition time, but that is not the case. So they're just back into the action.
Ooh, Berlin making it back into the scene. Is going to be doing
Amazing
a lot of damage,
counter.
But yeah, as you mentioned, a beautiful counter to come through and finish off that crocodile, but not for long. A stock share comes through. Only 1 remaining for the side of Sudden Death, but 2 for each of the players on averages, who are looking very strong in map number 3.
Here comes the respawn out of Jason. They're on their final stock. Shohei still 1 stock ahead, the only one with 2.
Yeah, but at 118%, I mean, nobody's going to do damage quite the same way as Ness, and that is kind of the player that is playing some of that more long range in this matchup, but is really just trying to do as much as possible against this very heavy character and not able to do as much. A little bit of a grapple to come through there, and we're really just trying to make sure that Shohei is not able to do as much as I'm sure they would like to do in this situation. And that, whoa, suddenly we're down to just 2 players, but Alec with 122 making 134 goes shooting into the background and averages from behind. They come out and they average it up.
A crazy section of events. Jason not able to recover with the upbeat. Berlin falling off the stage, leaving it all into a 1v1, and Alex simply getting thrown into the sky. We move forward into another map. Averages taking the lead, 2-1.
Ooh, I mean, and we're off once again, a blazing start here and just racking up the damage here. Coming through, Berlin just really getting tossed around and kind of, it's hard to get the recovery through that well. You're really trying to kind of load up a lot of your shots, and if you're not able to do that and you're just kind of being stuck, bounced up in the air by Ness, that certainly makes it difficult to contribute to this play here, but is going to be able to come back onto the field, grapple that back up, but Shohei trying to do as much protection on that side of the map as possible.
succeeding for a little bit, but immediately smacked out by King K. Rool, drops a stock, and it seems like for the first time in a little bit, Sudden Death get to take the lead, each up at a full total of 3 stocks. They're building up Rage as well, so if they find value in staying alive, they can build up some heavy damage against their opponents on the averages side.
And so far, so good, but that damage can only go so far. That Rage can only do so much before it starts to come back and bite you. A stock lost from that player in an explosive moment from this Ness that is going to equalize the field here. 2 stocks for all players, and we're just really trying to bring that pain once again with this King K. Rool.
What a beautiful chain of perfect parries and counters. A little bit of a stall time, but Berlin, again, building up that percentage. It doesn't matter if you're a super heavy, you're eventually going to be sent flying, and playing at the edge of the stage is extremely scary. You're just that much closer to the elimination box.
Yeah, and something to be said, Jason here really just trying to play off of what Shohei is able to make happen on this Ness. But now with both of them really just stuck on the edge of the field there, it is going to result in both of the players of Sudden Death being taken out from those explosive re-entries. Jason, the only player with 2 stocks remaining, but really just trying to stay in this and make that Rage do as much as possible.
Oh, Berlin recovering with the helicopter hat, as I like to put it. Picks up the crown, and now they can have that side B ability in their arsenal once again. And it really does seem like Shohei is the priority right now, which does make sense because they've been putting on so much pressure throughout all their matches played.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that Ness really is responsible for a lot of kind of those knock-up moves that are making it so difficult for Sudden Death to come back. And averages with that are your victors. Adams Eagles, let's hear it for your players on the averages. Wow.
An amazing, amazing series. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sudden Death, they showed us some amazing, amazing work, but I love to see some proteges succeed.
Absolutely true. A big congratulations to the averages and the Adams Eagles for taking this one down and equalizing it across the 4 years with the Paris Panthers.
And that means they're going to get their names on a trophy. They get to take home some prizes and talk about a great way to start your week, eh?
Absolutely. I mean, spring break is right around the corner, and getting some extra time to play some games and be like, my name's going on a trophy. That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and let's review those moments that brought us to this point. I mean, starting off with Green Hill Zone, you know, that classic Sonic stage. Things were looking pretty messy, I do want to say. It felt like it was just... I guess I put it this way earlier, a bar fight, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was just looking for the target that was closest to them, and we gradually saw that change towards the end of this series.
And I was going to, like, in your mention of that, just trying to kind of fight whoever's closest and not really have a lot of back and forth or communication with your teammate in the form of kind of how your characters are playing in the game, that changes a lot. The moment that they get a round taken off of them and Sudden Death takes map number 2, we get to see a huge shift in, okay, Ness is going to kind of be the character that's going to make a lot of the moves, be the one to kind of set the tempo for the match, and then we're just going to have Jason kind of play a little bit of support, kind of play edge guard, kind of play trying to get those final smashes off the map.
The strategy paid off, the development over time worked, and that brought success for averages in the middle school division. Folks, we do want you to stay tuned for our high school division, but they'll be coming back to show you what they've got in store after a break.
Oh my gosh, is that us? That's us. Hi, everybody. I am Becky, and I'm joined here by Ashcon, and we're going to be your casters for this evening. What's a caster?
I think we do a lot of talking and maybe a little looking.
And maybe a little joke making. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the crowd feels tonight. But we hope you all are excited to be here. We're going to be bringing you through this evening, and we are going to be, helping you understand the game of Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, today we're going to be playing a format of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate known as doubles. So teams of two will be fighting another duo to claim their victory. The first couple matches will be a best of three. That means the first team to 2 victories will win the best of 3 series. And in our grand finals, we're going to be moving on to a best of 5. That means the first team to take 3 maps is going to win the entire championship.
And if you get confused about who is ahead, we will have some little numbers that will be at the top of the screen for you to reference as well. And, of course, we have 2 teams from 2 different schools, and they're going to be battling it out in these best of 3s and that best of 5. But let's get into it and bring our players out onto the stage.
First, representing Redondo Union High School Seahawks, the Bon Me Bros, led by Ethan Toe and their duo, Gavin Wynn. And they're going to be going head-to-head in the first best-of-3 series against Dogma. That's going to be Aiden Boyd and Isaac Fujiwara. And let's be clear. These students are led to success by none other than their coach. Give a round of applause to Kelly Lewis. And get that final look of the entire Redondo Union High School.
All right, and up against Redondo Union, we're going to be having 2 teams for the side of El Segundo's Eagles. Let's start off with Subway, and that duo is going to be Shane Hopkins and Brody Thomas.
Loving the pose, loving the hair.
I mean, you got to cheer for the hair. I mean, I'm a little bit of a fan myself, but let's get right into it. The Spawn Campers are going to be the next team supporting the El Segundo Eagles, and that is James Camper and Aiden Bellamy. And, of course, the coach that's bringing it all together for El Segundo, Paul Gian. And let's take a final look. El Segundo Eagles, let me hear you scream.
Is that the Ginyu Force?
What a good pose. I mean, they certainly came prepared to play some esports.
Yeah, absolutely. I love when they bring energy and goofiness to the stage. I think it's all about having fun, and they're definitely enjoying themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, at the end of the day, everyone has fun. Only one team takes home the trophy.
And let's get right into it. Players, go ahead and take your seats. We'll get into that first match, and I believe that's going to be Bon Me Bros versus Dogma. And as we prep up, we saw a couple of characters on the middle school side. What do you expect to see here?
I mean, I feel like we got to see Ness do really well when we watched the middle schoolers play, and we also got to see some really great King Croc gameplay. So, excited to see some characters like that again, but there was a lot of sword character love. We got to see a lot of Cloud, a lot of Ike, so I have to imagine we're going to see some of that again.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, there's a lot of chance for variety in the first best of 3 series. The first 2 maps, that's going to be Bon Me Bros and Dogma, will be a best of 3 series. Later on, we're going to see Subway versus the Spawn Campers. That will also be a best of 3 series.
Absolutely. And to explain that a little bit further as well, when we watch these first best of 3 matches, they're going to be the same school playing against their top 2 teams. And then afterwards, those teams, once we decide a victor, are going to go into a best of 5 where the schools will face off against each other with the teams that were decided from the best of 3s.
Now, how do you take a map in the series? Well, once you load into the game, each character is going to have 3 lives, or we'll be referring to them as stocks. Once a character loses all 3 stocks, they're going to be out of the match, eliminated, and the team left standing wins that first map. Let's get right into the game.
Yeah, we'll immediately be able to walk you through things just a little bit easier once you're able to have those visuals on the screen for you as well. And then you'll really be able to understand when we're talking about stocks and all this crazy business. Oh, a little bit of Corinne here. I'm excited to see that. And Bowser, we were talking about heavy characters when we saw the first set of middle school players play, and we're still seeing those kind of back and forth decisions that are coming in from some of these character selections.
Yeah, looking at Corn right now, another Fire Emblem character. So not only sword characters, but especially Fire Emblem characters have been popular today. And another Cloud as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of them in the game to begin with. So you have a pretty high chance of seeing quite a few Fire Emblem characters in the match as well. Back and forth to start things off, but it looks like we're pretty even across the board. Bon Mi Bros on top just a little bit here with a single stock more than the opposing side. And just as I say that, it equalizes immediately.
Now that Bowser is going to be another heavy character similar to King K. Rool that we saw in the middle school series. And as soon as I talk about them, they're going to fall off the stage. They are known to be a little bit weaker with their recovery ability, so they're going to fall short when trying to get back onto the stage and recover. Easily edge guardable, but they do pack a punch.
Ooh. Yeah, and speaking of edge guarding, a great kind of change of direction there from the player on Corinne. Able to get back onto the stage and trying to get that fight back in them, but it's a nice little back and forth there as Cloud going to be shot back up and coming in for the return.
Oh, shield break! That's going to be Cloud made dizzy. For those who don't know, once that shield is broken, you're going to be stunned for 3, 4, 5 whole seconds. And that's the perfect opportunity to take a charge attack to your enemy.
Yeah, and as you mentioned that, you got to be really careful. That shield does go down, but you do have a lot of time to spend with it up, kind of punching it out intermittently there. Bowser really trying to make sure that that edge is watched, trying to go for that grapple and a little smash to try and get players off of the map for as long as possible. And all of a sudden, we got a bunch of players in the air and nobody on the battlefield.
And that's going to be a stock shared by Jimbo playing Bowser. They were eliminated originally, but because their teammate had a stock to spare, they were able to spam buttons, bring themselves back onto the field at the expense of that extra stock.
Ooh, and another elimination coming through there far into the distance. And we are down to just one player remaining. Just this Cloud up against this Bowser, who's going to come in, claws out, trying to get back onto the stage. It's just guard time for Bowser, who's going to bring that one home. All right, map number 2. What are you expecting to see?
Well, I think things need to slow down a little bit for the side of for Bowser's team. I think they had amazing early success, and they did close it out. But in the middle, things did get a little bit messy, a little bit risque. So you want to keep things a bit more controlled when you're going when you're playing a character and operating a character that can be sent off stage and bullied.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of damage coming out from that Bowser, the final remaining player on the map before, so certainly somebody to watch going into this next round. We didn't see a lot of verticality in the matches that we saw from the middle school players, but all of a sudden we're getting a ton of extra platform places to work in these matches to start things off.
Building up a little bit of damage is Cloud. Nice on the side of Dogma, blue team. Still full health, and it looks like they just took out enemy Corrin. Bon Mi Bros in red. Now one stock down, just trying to fight back with percentage by percentage.
Ooh, high percentage on that Bowser, but continuing to just stay down and dish it out for as long as possible, but that is going to be a rough spot to come back up. Grabs onto that edge and uses that shield to try and stave off as much of that aggression for as long as possible and come back in swinging.
Oh, something I want to point out is I think this is the first vertical map that we've seen today. We were talking about the middle schools earlier, and they were only using Omega-style stages. But this is the first time getting a battlefield stage.
Absolutely, and as a result, I did expect to see a little bit more kind of 1v1 action kind of separated across the map, but we're actually seeing Dogma do a really great job of kind of juggling the players on Bon Mi Bros as much as possible here. But as I say that, we have got a ton of action on this edge, a lot of aggression coming through. We even saw a stock share come through to get Beppo back onto this map as well.
Absolutely. Now, Bobby Bros, again, 3 stocks total, 2 on their Cloud, 1 on their Corn in red. Other side in blue. That's going to be Dogma. 2 and 2. That Bowser up at 100%. Soon to be eliminated alongside that Corn. All Bombi Bros need to do is get a nice smash attack in, or maybe a quick edge guard after knocking him off the stage. Instead, it is the suplex move where Bowser takes you out.
Speaking of being taken out, both players for the side of Bonmi Bros actually going down at the same time, really just making it difficult. We would have loved to maybe see a little bit of a stock share coming through from that Cloud, but that's just not going to be the case when both players get taken down that close together. And now it is just this Cloud versus the world, just like how it feels like when you play Final Fantasy, but you're not usually playing against Bowser when you play Final Fantasy.
No, yeah, generally you have different villains that you're fighting in that franchise, but hey, that's the beauty of Smash Bros. Bringing together all those different IPs, right?
Absolutely, and a lot is riding on the shoulders of this final Bonmi Bro trying to get back onto the map, but it is going to be a stock for stock, but with only one player remaining, it is going to be Dogma to bring home this first match and be your representatives for Redondo Union.
And what a way to close things out, right? Because that is a very unique strategy that doesn't work in singles, right? Actually, in Smash Bros. For the Wii, that was something that Bowser players could do to secure the game. And they changed it moving into Smash Bros. Ultimate. And so that move where Bowser actually gets eliminated alongside the person that they grab is only able to be in their favor when they have a teammate. Let's go look into the replays.
Absolutely. Take a look back at how Dogma was able to bring this one home and get themselves to become the representative for Redondo Union going into the finals. And I think it really did end up kind of coming down. We kind of praised when we saw it from the middle school gameplay as well, kind of that 2 varying character styles, where we are seeing kind of that change in weight between characters and how that is going to add a different dynamic element to the gameplay when you're kind of watching and interacting with each other. And I think that really did kind of have kind of an anchor player and then a little bit more of a dynamic player, where we kind of were seeing a lot of repetition from the Bowser that's really just kind of sitting there dishing damage and trying to like kind of hold down the fort basically, and then see a little bit more again, dynamic gameplay, a little bit more covering range from the Corinne.
I mean, I agree 100%. And we were seeing that have a lot of success with the averages as well when they were playing with Ness and Cloud. Mm-hmm. They had Cloud kind of be that anchor player, and Ness was a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we are going to get set up for the side of El Segundo's Eagles and watch Subway versus the Spawn Campers as soon as we get those players set up. You mentioned that we got to finally see a little bit of verticality and how we thought that was going to lead to a little bit more of a 1v1 and then a 1v1 action on different sides of the map, but it actually ended up being a lot more of both teams kind of trying to put themselves in a 1v2 situation as often as possible. And that's kind of a really difficult kind of juggle to make happen, especially when you are seeing kind of that variation in character weights that you see from something like the Bowser. So I'm interested in seeing if that's going to be the case when we watch El Segundo play as well. And hopefully El Segundo is also kind of taking notes about what they just saw happen, and maybe they're going to pick different characters once we go into the finals, because that's kind of what I'm hoping to see, is a little bit of a switch up.
Oh, absolutely. We did see the players on the middle school side kind of maintain what they usually played going into the grand finals. But we're going to have to be left wondering, because we're going to take a quick break and bring you back those answers when we come back.
back. I'm Becky, and this is Ashcon, and we're getting ready to take in the match that is going to be the El Segundo Eagles Subway versus the Spawn Campers to see who will be representing El Segundo against Dogma from Redondo Union. How we feeling?
I'm feeling great. This is another best of 3 series. First team to 2 map wins gets to be their school's representative for El Segundo. We got to see a glimpse of the high school gameplay in the Seahawks match, right? And I'm excited to see what kind of character pool we have from the side of the Eagles. So we'll be getting into that shortly. And we got some insight into the players. All of these players on the high school side, very committed to their craft. We heard something about some custom controls and whatnot, keeping things precise, keeping things mechanically sound. So
I mean, we were kind of talking about it before coming in today. We were like, it tells a lot about a person how they show up to play Smash Bros. Like, are you bringing a GameCube controller? Are you bringing a Pro controller? Are you using the default controller? Tells you a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a scale from Joy-Con user to GameCube controller user. And it really just defines you as a player when you walk into a room.
Absolutely true. Our players are sitting down, picking their characters, and getting ready to bring you in the audience the action. If you're a fan of Subway, I want to hear you say yes in the house. Okay. Some Subway fans. And Spawn Campers? All right. These players have got their energy ready to go in this match, and we are loading in. All right, how are you feeling about these? You wanted to see a Ganondorf.
I got to see a Ganondorf. Let's go. Now, I love that their duo is also Captain Falcon, because those are 2 characters with almost exact same movesets.
And I think it's interesting, there are also some pretty original characters in the game. Like, it is going to be very cool to see. Maybe they played for a long time. Maybe they've played back into Brawl and before. And this is just like who they've been playing for forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm observing some thematics, right? We have the parallel between Ganondorf and Captain Falcon. And, of course, we have the villains. So that's King Dedede and King K. Rool.
I kind of forget that King Dedede is a villain.
Really?
Sometimes. Yeah. He's the villain in Kirby, for those of you who don't know. But I always think, I'm like, he's so cute.
Yeah. He's really cute. Yeah, you're
But
right.
everyone's cute in Kirby.
That's true, yeah. Kirby's a very non-threatening environment,
Yeah.
I feel like. Very much an outsider when it comes to Smash Bros, when everyone's trying to knock each other out of an arena.
Absolutely, but speaking of non-threatening, this King Dedede is actually being quite threatening out there with the hammer, smashing and knocking players off of the map, and now it is on edge guard control for the Spawn Campers. Seems fitting for their namesake.
Yeah, absolutely. Subway on the blue side, just to confirm, and they're out here at high percentages, but I was going to say still not a stock loss, and that's Captain Falcon taking the drop first. We'll see if Ganondorf can recover onto the stage. That is not going to be the case. Finally, the side of Subway losing a stock each.
Yeah, 1 player down to 1 stock, and it is going to be that King K. Rool who is struggling to stay on here, and unfortunately King Dedede only with 1 stock left now has to face both Captain Falcon and Ganondorf with 2 apiece. So it is not looking good for the Spawn Campers here as Subway kind of have a hold on this match.
Yeah, Spawn Campers, it's just Yami left all alone, and by the way, that what do we means night in Japanese?
All right, moving right past that, it is going to be Subway taking home the first match here in this best of 3 series. 1 more map could put Subway up against Redondo Union, but a chance for rebuttal comes in from the Spawn Campers.
Okay, King Dedede going for their approach, and kind of I like how they stick together on the side of the Spawn Campers to utilize like the massive hitboxes they have playing those super heavy characters.
Absolutely, and it's kind of cool to see when that starts to change, and we did kind of see a little bit of space come through between these characters when they got back onto the map, went ahead and said, hey, maybe we don't want to play this close, and kind of play into that strategy that you just named. So a quick kind of change of pace and a knockout for at least the two players on Spawn Campers, going down to just 2 stocks each. But that Ganondorf has lost one as well. The only player high percentage there is going to be that Captain Falcon, trying to hold on for as long as possible. But a lot of airtime happening for all of these players here.
Captain Falcon on the side of our blue team, surviving for much longer than the Spawn Campers would like. So I think they're trying to go for a little bit of focus. Out comes the throw into a dash attack. But Brody comes back from around the side with a huge dash of their own. And that's going to take the stocks off of Subway and Spawn Campers equally. All left at 1 stock left.
I mean, we felt like we were seeing Subway have a hold on this match, but all of a sudden it is anyone's game. 1 stock for everybody, pretty even percentages across the board, and we're just really trying to play off of the side of the map. Unfortunately, Ganondorf, a very difficult character to jump back onto the map with.
Whoa! Aerial battle eliminated from off of the top. Blast Zone. Now King K. Rool versus Captain Falcon in the 1 versus 1. A lot of aerials coming out. Captain Falcon trying to utilize their speed to create a juggle combo. Maybe potentially finishing off King K. Rool with an aerial, but the ground is K. Rool's preferred environment.
Ooh, a knockoff, and now just trying to edge guard here, but a nice little dash back onto the map there for King K. Rool.
Trying to throw out a counter, gets the grab, does not follow up onto the Captain Falcon. Right now playing a slow burn type of style is King K. Rool.
Ooh. All right, a lot of aerial movement there. It does at least get AB back onto the map and get that little float back up. And it's a difficult spot to be edge guarding, but doing the very best on that ledge there for Captain Falcon. An unfortunate grapple to come through there, and it is good for the finish. Spawn Campers equalize the match.
And again, this is a best of 3 series, so we're going to go into map number 3 to decide our representative for El Segundo.
Wow, I mean, truly that one ended up being extremely close for it to go down to equal percentage, 1 stock each, and then all of a sudden a 1v1. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, this is one of the most intense series I think we've seen today. Both of these teams putting their soul into it. I'm liking the approach of King DDD coming around from the top to avoid the brawl in the center of the map. Taking it patient and throwing out the spike balls as a little bit of a zoning tool, but Brody is not going to let that slide. They're going to be chasing down that King DDD as Ganondorf. Subway taking the lead.
Ooh. Yeah, good recovery, and now it is a little bit difficult for that Captain Falcon for a moment, but a great comeback from that Ganondorf, being able to move as many players off as possible. And now the Ganondorf also using the elevation that King K. Rool is able to get so easily to get back onto the map. Unfortunately, that high percentage is going to make it too difficult to come back from that side platform.
Once again, it's on the side of Subway, that Captain Falcon on the blue team, 120%, maximizing value on that first stock, doing crazy damage with the down smash, and sending King K. Rool to their last stock.
Yeah, stock's looking great for the side of Subway. That Captain Falcon still with 3. And so it is King DDD trying to hold down the fort for as long as possible, but that percentage is climbing high. Trying to play off of those trades back and forth with shields for as long as possible. 1 stock remaining for the side of Spawn Campers each, and 2 for Subway, who find themselves a foot forward in this game.
An attempt at a dash attack from King DDD towards Ganondorf. Looks like it's villain against villain here. Trying to go for the rocket hammer, does not connect. And with an up tilt, Ganondorf engages both members of the Spawn Campers. Subway eliminates King K. Rool on the side of the Spawn Campers, closes out the match, and takes their spot in the grand finals.
Subway coming in strong and going to be fighting against Redondo Union. I mean, talk about a juggle in those final moments there. I mean, that's the kind of back and forth that you're hoping to see when it all comes together. So we're going to be seeing a Subway in the finals for the El Segundo Eagles and going up against Dogma from Redondo Union.
I mean, both of these teams look like the creme de la creme. And look, before we get into any more of what happened in that last match, I think we have one more announcement. Let's pass it over to Mr. Alan Zach.
All right, speaking of awards to be had, we are finally at that moment of Redondo Union versus El Segundo. How you feeling? I mean, I keep asking how you feeling. I know you're feeling good. I know we're excited to see who's going to take it home. But any final thoughts before we get down into the match?
I'm feeling a lot of feelings, Becky. I gotta be honest. I mean, we're going against Dogma and Subway. Both of these teams showed extreme prowess with their characters. I'm wondering, though, if they're gonna switch things up, knowing that they've gotten to watch each other play, right? When you go into, for example, two fast characters, or a Ganondorf and a Captain Falcon, you might want to play something at range that can try to keep them away. But maybe they're one step ahead of you, and they're going to counter ranged campers. You never know.
I mean, I'd be interested in seeing it. When we did watch the middle schoolers play, they did continue to pick the same characters, which makes me believe that those are just characters that they're comfortable on, which I think is certainly a strategy. But I would be interested in seeing, hey, I'm going to just throw something out that I'm also comfortable on that is left field, so you have no idea what to expect. But we'll see if that's even going to happen. Let's get the chat hyped. I'm calling you all chat. Sorry, my bad. If you're from Redondo Union, I want to hear you cheer for your team. Say yeah. All right, El Segundo, let's see if you can beat that. Let me hear yeah. All right, Redondo Union, one more time.
Come on, chat. You can do better than that.
El Segundo, one more time. All right, our players are sat and getting their matches selected, and then they're going to be getting characters, and then we are going to go right into that best of 5 and figure out which of these teams is signing their name on the trophy.
Yeah, best of 5. That means first team to 3 map wins. We're moving on from the best of 3 format. You got to win 3 total times to get your name written on that trophy, to get that prize money, specifically for computer parts.
And we do have a QR code that is going to go up on screen if you're at Redondo Union and you'd like to be entered into a raffle to receive a prom ticket. Go ahead, scan that QR code. We'll keep that up for a sec.
Because who said prizes are only for the competitors?
I know, right? I mean, we're getting so many good raffles that are happening today, and I would have loved if I could have just won a raffle for my prom ticket when I was in high school.
Absolutely. Those things are expensive. They're no joke.
They sure are. And after I had to buy a dress,
Oh, my gosh.
All right, we're going to be taking that down as our players. I see the ready to fight is plastered across their screens, and we hope that you all are ready to watch the epic battle that is about to unfold before you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm ready. I'm on the edge of my seat, and I don't even have a seat. Let's hit it.
Let's get right down into it and see who's taking home that trophy.
Okay, they stuck to it. They stuck to their convictions. It's Bowser and Corrin going against Captain Falcon and Ganondorf. And once again, we're going to know that the blue side is going to be Subway and the red side, Dogma.
All right, and that also means that that red side is Redondo Union and that blue side is the El Segundo Eagles. And a amazing back and forth. First to lose stock is going to be that Captain Falcon and Ganondorf quick to follow. So far, this duo of the Bowser and Corrin doing a great job of holding down the fort, and Corrin just might end up being Bowser's new princess.
Oh man, yeah, Corrin has some extreme range with their dragon transformations, and that can be a pain to deal with when you're a full melee character like Ganondorf and Captain Falcon.
Absolutely, and equalized now, 2 stocks across the board for all of these players. So Subway locking it in and trying to make sure that this doesn't get out of their hands before it's even started.
Now, something that, Subway, that the El Segundo team have to watch out for is that Bowser strategy of the grapple at the end when you're on your last stop.
Yeah, absolutely. So there might be a little bit of a strategy where they try and focus this Bowser out as much as possible. But as you mentioned, those range attacks from Corrin are going to make it that much more difficult for you to make that happen, as 1 stock remaining for every player within the span of 20 seconds. I mean, that's making this best of 5 that much more intense.
Absolutely. When we're talking about best of 5s, you expect things to escalate over time, but over the course of a best of 5, you don't expect the first match to be this intense.
Yeah, each player for a moment in a respective 1v1, trying to escape from that and move into the fight against the other players for as much as possible. More than 100% on that final player for Redondo Union, just trying to juggle back up onto the map, but stuck in a 2v1. It is going to be Subway and El Segundo to take map number 1.
Of this best of 5.
Of this best of 5. And certainly still time for more matches, to be exact, for Redondo Union to get back into it.
Back into it? By it, do you mean this best of 5?
I certainly do. Still matches that they can take. It is going to be that first 2-3 maps here. A lot of damage coming out strong, but it is going to be kind of a 2v2, really strong to start off. Both players really trying to play off of one another's combos to start things off. But unfortunately, that fall too far, we mentioned that it's really difficult to get back onto the map as that Ganondorf. So that is going to be a quick fall for the side of El Segundo here.
Best of 5.
And Redondo ahead so far, really trying to make sure that they're sticking together and trying to play as many 2v1s as possible. This is a very different strategy than we were seeing from them on that first map.
There's been so many eliminations and fights at the top box of the map that it's starting to make me feel like we're playing Smash for the Wii U. I mean, this is really insane. That game was notorious for verticality, and we're seeing a very similar amount of that in this ultimate iteration of the game.
Absolutely, and 2 more eliminations going through for El Segundo, and so they are low on stocks, half the amount that is present for Redondo, who currently have a grip on this match and looking to equalize it to a 1v1 in this best of 5. 170% strong, and yeah, as I say that, you don't last very long once your percent is looking that high. That rage is building up too high for even Bowser to handle.
Yeah, super heavy or not, when you get that percentage way up there, it just takes a matter of a flick and you're out of the map. The speed right now by Corrin with the counter is going to launch up members of Subway. Broad is actually going to get eliminated, and they're going to share stock from their Captain Falcon to put themselves back into this 2v2.
Yeah, well, considering how quickly we got down to 1 stock across the board on map number 1, I'm interested in seeing if that can happen again. A very nice pushback and a lot of control across the map going El Segundo's way. Ooh, really trying to make sure that we get Captain Falcon back up onto the map.
But again, Redondo and Red with the lead.
Yep, certainly a lot of airtime coming through, but that is going to be the Bowser coming off the map. The great recoveries coming through from El Segundo, but it is looking like a tight match so far.
Oh, here we go. Another shield break. This could be a free charge smash. Not quite enough to get that Bowser off of the map. And there it is, the slam. And all they need to do is hit one more side B to close this out. But it's just going to be the Corrin special Redondo Union, evening this out 1-1 in our best of 5.
Yeah, it's anyone's match so far. I feel like we've been saying that a lot, but the tide really does change the moment you start to use a lot of these combos and play together as a team. And something that we did see as a big change from map number 1 and map number 2, the isolations that were able to come through for the side of Redondo, and really getting to see kind of this duo of the super heavy and the more agile character really shine.
Trying to recover up on the stage is Captain Falcon. Is able to combo that with a couple of neutrals from their Ganondorf. They recover, find a elimination over on that Bowser, but a dash attack is going to be enough to get rid of Subway's own heavyweight character.
I was going to say that Bowser went off the map, but immediately came back down into the action and got back a little bit of karma there. 2 stocks remaining for both El Segundo players. And so far, Redondo with a step ahead here, trying to get back onto the map, but also getting some damage across. Very nicely done from this Bryn playing on that left side of the map.
I love that little split off into 2 1v1s before immediately sinking back up here in the middle.
I mean, that's kind of how these fights have to go. The moment you're stuck in those 1v1s, like, assuming that you're evenly matched, and even if you're not evenly matched, you're trying to see if you can get into a more advantageous position. So you're trying to break from those as much as possible as the Bowser goes down to 1 stock remaining, that Corrin losing one as well. And it is going to finally be a little bit of an equalizer here as that Captain Falcon gets pushed off the map. 3 stocks remaining for both sides.
Captain Falcon with that low percentage charge needs to make magic happen. As their Ganondorf falls, things are looking pretty dicey for the side of Subway. El Segundo on the edge.
Yeah, good recovery there. A lot of space to be taken up for a nice collision to come back from both of the players of El Segundo. Trying to see if we can get some smashes down and off of the map, but unfortunately it is going to be that Ganondorf trying to hold down the fort One stock remaining from every single player. High percentage for one on each side. But that is going to be a finals match to take down that Bowser and keep it to a 2v1.
This is entirely possible still for the side of Redondo, a 1v2, but remember that Captain Falcon is at 100%.
That was maybe a little bit too aggressive from the side of El Segundo. Both of them trying to keep Corinne down. But in the end, the recovery comes through, and Subway take the lead once again.
2-1. And what a way to finish it off with that Captain Falcon up B. A lot of times people think of that up special as just a way to recover. But if you know your character well enough, you know the tools that they have. And both Ganondorf and Captain Falcon can grab and launch enemies with those abilities.
I was going to say, and it's similar to kind of what we were seeing from the Bowser earlier as well, really just making the most of those grappling abilities, even if they don't always bring somebody down with you. Sometimes you got to get creative with it. And speaking of being creative, our players got back to that kind of 2v2 motion, and Captain Falcon trying to return from outer space there and get back into fighting stance alongside that Ganondorf, but really taking a lot of airtime, a lot of hits for both of the El Segundo players. Redondo really taking a nice big step into this match.
And once again, Redondo, represented by the red side, have a cut lower numbers in terms of percentage, but they just lost that stock. Subway, El Segundo, represented in blue, was in the lead, but only for a split second as they lose both their characters' first stocks.
Yeah, now it looks like we're going to see this Captain Falcon really focus on trying to keep this Corinne at the edge of the map for as long as possible. Bowser kind of stuck in a 1v1 against this Ganondorf as the equalizer came through, and it is 2 stocks remaining for all players.
Holding shield in the middle of 2 opponents does get pretty risky. We're actually watching a lot of these players, I think all 4 of them, having to reveal their, let go of their shield button just to get hit so they don't get stunned in the middle of the enemy team.
I mean, a good thing to watch out for, and something that I think both of these teams are kind of frothing at the mouth to have happen, just waiting as those shields start to deplete. Back in a 1v1 for each of these players here, trying to see if we can juggle and re-stabilize for both of them, really trying to play around that airtime, but unfortunately it does not go Captain Falcon's way.
Oh, Ganondorf screen slam. That's going to be El Segundo on 1 stock left each. Redondo hugely in the lead right now, but still entirely possible for El Segundo to fight back, and they do. Corrin eliminated. Now it's just a matter of evening the odds against that Bowser.
I was going to say that Bowser sure is looking rough on percentage, but looking great as far as damage that's coming across. Oh, an unfortunate missed recovery from that Bowser as well. So now down to 1 stock across the board. Anyone's match. El Segundo is up 1 point, but this could be the place where Redondo equalizes it in this best of 5, or El Segundo can try and take it all home. The Bowser falls. It's a 2v1. There's no stock to share for this Corinne, but with the percentages this high, it isn't going to be enough, and El Segundo are going to be the ones to take it home.
Congratulations to El Segundo, represented by the Subway duo Shane and Brody. They make their names known, coming in for the first time around in the Battle of the South Bay.
Wow, I mean, El Segundo showing up first time, but showing up strong, and they are going to be the ones signing their names on that trophy. But a very well-played match between these 2 teams. A very well-played match, extremely hype for us. I mean, getting down to 1 stock between 4 different players on every single map, like, it doesn't get much better than that.
Oh, absolutely. High intensity, high octane gameplay. Exactly what you love to see in your educational esports.
And that being said, like, we got to see a huge range of characters played as well. We got to see a lot of strategies change as we evolved through each of these different maps as well. And that's like the coolest thing to see. We were excited about verticality. I was not expecting the way that was going to kind of change. I mean, we expected to see 1v1, 1v1. But I have to give props to both of these teams for the amount of times that was happening. They also did a great job of kind of breaking that cycle, of making it so that they could go back into these kind of big brawls that were kind of trying to isolate 2v1s as often as possible. It's a difficult thing to do when you're kind of in the middle trying to focus on your own character. All of a sudden you have to focus on what your teammate is doing and also trying to make something happen to both of you. And that's a lot of communication that goes into that.
A lot of communication. Yeah, exactly. Viewing when your teammate is under pressure, trying to relieve them. We talked about shield breaks earlier, and we just saw that clip. You know, it happened once, and that was the only time they let it fly, right? So once again, congratulations to El Segundo. My name's Ashton. This is Becky there, and we had an amazing time casting, you guys, and we hope to see you next year.